I think in YouTube and also on the on-demand section of our webinars. Okay, so we'll start with a little presentation, and we'll also try, even though the format is a little bit difficult, to have a conversation, and you'll have time also to ask questions via the chat, or if you want to ask them, I can unmute you guys, and then you'll be able to ask the question. So let me just share my screen with you. Okay. All right. So here we are. Okay. So for this March meeting, let's see what we will be covering. We will be talking about the Rapido community, the status. We'll cover the Rapido April release. And also I want to say, maybe you've read the highlights already or read the documentation, but take this also as an opportunity to ask questions that you had, maybe if you've already read this. And also we'll try to talk about frequent go live topics. Again, these are topics that many of you might know, but I see many new people in this meeting. So it might be new stuff for new people that have joined Rapido, or that want to learn more about Rapido. So we'll kick it off with the community. Our pods are starting to grow. We are creating new pods. We are seeing new people coming into our pods. And it's a very interesting process. I can tell you, for example, that the Canadian pod is being thought of now. So the Canadian teams are talking about terms and engaging together to define the baseline pod. As we've always said, pods are very flexible from our side, and we can really do whatever is needed. We are at a stage in Rapido where it's early, and we're still having discussions. I think that at some point, what is going to happen is that we will have our established pods with their terms, and then if there's more need for other type of pods, we can always create them. So bear in mind that some of the pods that already exist, I'm pretty sure we still can change them and we'll fine tune them. But then they will stay as they are, and we can add more and different pods. Together with the growth in pods, I just wanted to share that we have many customers now on implementation mode, and many more that are already in line for starting their implementation. So there is really a big boom on the adoption of the Rapido community, and pretty soon we are going to reach, we're already on 70 institutions that are on implementation mode, and pretty soon we're going to reach the 100 line, which is amazing. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Australian pod, which is something also that the community has touched base with me. What I suggest we do is maybe I'll stop sharing for a second here. So or I want to, before I stop sharing, I want to maybe show you what we have on the Australian pod. So this is from our knowledge center. You can see here that the Australian pod has two terms, two loan periods. So one is a long period loan term, and the second one is a shorter period term. And we have 5 days deliveries. Of course, the delivery time here is the same. So even though the format here is a little bit strange, I would like to maybe engage with you, and maybe if someone wants to send me I can try to unmute you in some way, and we can start maybe, if you're interested. I'm inviting here the Australian community. I know we have people also not from Australia, But if the Australia community want to talk a little bit about the terms, I know it might be that the 5 days was maybe an incorrect or currently it's not reflecting the needs of the community. So please send me a chat, or I'll just unmute you guys. If you want to talk, just let me know if you want me to unmute you, and I'll try to unmute you in some way. Okay. Thank you, Robin. I will unmute you in a second. I'm trying to learn how to unmute someone specifically. Let's give it a try. Okay, Robin, you can speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi,
perfect.
Robin Schofield from Notre Dame University. We are just about to go live with Rapido. Our question, and I have put this out to our ANZAREG members, is regarding the 5-day postage, aka delivery time. We are scattered around Australia in terms of our locations. So we have campuses in New South Wales, in Western Australia. We have also a campus up in Broome and some other Victorian locations. But in terms of what we have experienced, especially for us over here in the west of Australia, is that it's taking a lot longer for normal postage to be delivered in the 5-day turnaround. And I had put this out onto the list regarding we are finding that it can take sometimes up to 3 weeks or 15 working business days for items to come from over east to the libraries over in the west. And I think it's pretty much the same vice versa in the same delivery time from the west going to east. And I was just wondering to put it out to pod members if they feel there's a need for a change in terms of delivery time, especially. Thanks.
Thank you, Robin. I really appreciate you speaking up and also posting, placing this question in place. First of all, it sounds very hard, 3 weeks, the delivery. It's, I don't know, is it you? In the past, I thought when we started to have our first Australians go live, it was during Corona. So I thought it was impacted by that, but it seems maybe it's not only for special times. Do you think this is something that would be for longer?
I think due to the nature of probably there's a lot more parcels that Australia Post has to deal with because there's a lot of online shopping now and things like that. So I believe it's like the sheer volume of packages, and also Corona in terms of employees and things like that. I don't know like the actual, I'm only having a guess here. But I can only talk from the experiences that myself and my colleagues have had in terms of interlibrary loans, physical delivery of items.
Okay, thank you. Is there, I would like to hear from someone else, maybe from maybe those that are already using Rapido Live. Have you received feedback from your users? How are you experiencing this? You're receiving materials from others, so I wonder if you could maybe share your own experiences here, or I think I'll tell you what is my recommendation, okay? And this is up to you. We can change, especially at this point that we are still in a sense small, even though we're rapidly growing, but we're still small, and we can change some of the things here still. What I recommend the Canadian customers that are coming up is kind of what you were talking about, Robin, like with the Android community. So they are actually talking between them, and there was someone that proposed to be a representative to reach out to me and kind of bring a conclusion for the Canadian pod in terms of what would be right for that pod. In a way, it's very similar
Sure.
to Australia, because
Okay.
they have the same issue. We have both two coasts and Canada far away, and so they're experiencing for the national pod, they're experiencing this this thing where the distances are big, and also the it can take long.
Sure. I would be more than happy to facilitate discussions. But just to let you know, I did sign up to the Rapid ILL the email account, but I don't know if my emails are actually being sent to that list or not.
Oh.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because it got a question that I did put to the list. I got a response that it had been cancelled, so I'm not sure
Okay,
exactly,
let
but I
me.
can use the ANZREG list. That's not a problem.
Mhm.
Yeah, to do that. But I was just wanting to mention that
No,
I'm
it's a good
having.
mention. I need to talk
Mm,
to Dave Allen and see to see, because really people are registering, and I want to make it's also great that you mentioned this, because I have to make sure that people are being able to post there. I had a similar issue when I started a few months ago, so I do want to make sure that anyone that can that registers can publish. So
okay, great.
I'm taking a note here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you could, yeah, I think that's the best way, because actually, for me, I can do whatever you guys think. And in the future, I can also add quotes, okay? Also now, not only in the future, if needed. Once we've established something that a big community is there, and we don't want to make, we don't want to have big consoles at all times, or have you go through the hassle of coordinating this. But I think that the best way really in this case, since there is still a manageable community in Australia, is to kind of make a try to make a decision between yourselves, and we can contact in different ways, maybe not through the webinar.
Okay,
We will definitely
sure.
touch base and do this. And I do want to say that this is an important conversation. I see it as part of a learning process of Rapido. So thank you for raising it. It's something that it's part of being of Rapido, it's part of being a community, and how we deal with this need for differences input. While you are thinking about that, I would like you to think
Sure.
about the renewals as well. Currently, your pod is set to no, which is fine. But if you guys have been asked, have asked yourselves whether you wanted renewals, it's a good opportunity also to bring it up if you're interested, and we can change that, because that's also changeable at the pod level. So
Okay, I've put that on the list as well. Thank you.
great. Thank you, Robin. So I'm going to move back to the presentation, and we'll continue here. And of course, we'll stop for more discussions. Okay. I hope you had the chance to participate on the webinar on the Ex-Libris Resource Sharing Directory. In my next slide, I'll speak more about it, but there was a webinar last week, and if you didn't see it, please, yeah, I invite you to see it. I do want to mention now, before I forget, that those of you who are Rapido don't need to add yourselves to the directory. There is currently a pilot of reaching out to all of the ALMA non-Rapido customers to promote the directory and explain what it is. If by mistake one of you being Rapido receive this email, you can just ignore it. Being in this, it's by mistake. The team that's doing this might have by mistake sent you this, and you don't need to add yourselves. And lastly, for this slide, I hope you saw the announcement on the Rapido working group, which is fantastic news. One of the things that we've learned or experienced throughout the process of developing Rapido is how important the feedback from the community is. And we would like to continue that with a focused working group, which includes all of what you already know that's happening in other products, such as the nurse voting for next year. That's a process that needs to start. We need to, sometimes we want to have your feedback for developments that we're planning, etc. And all of the other activities that working groups have, which are lots of activities like participating in conferences, etc. So I just took a piece from that email because you have here who to contact if you're interested. So from, I think the great majority of the people attending today will want to contact Alex. So I encourage you to do so if you want to be part of the group. Again, we will maintain 2 separate meetings so that it will meet your time zones. So one will be at a time that is more suitable for the Americas and some of the European participants, but we also have an early for me, late for you meeting for in order to meet your time zone. So it said on the email that you should get in touch by April 1st. So if you're interested, I really, really encourage you to be there. Okay, and this is about the Xlibris resource sharing directory. So I've placed here 2 resources. The first one is a little video that you can find also on the Knowledge Center. And it's how to opt in into the directory. Again, you as the ones of you that have Rapido or are in the process of the implementation don't need to do this. And also there is the YouTube with the recording of that webinar. The reason I'm putting this here is because this is a community effort. And of course, Rapido integrates very well with ALMA, and I see you as promoters of this and would like very, very much for you to continue the conversations with the community. I've had many conversations also with some of the answer in general community. I had, I think it was a few months ago, something that Beta organized, but we can still organize something else and see how we make this collaboration via the directory or via peer-to-peer or joining Rapido pods or whatever options we have. So this is why I'm sharing this with you. The one thing that is relevant for you guys is this part. I did mention that on that webinar, but still I want to mention it again. Under the configuration of ALMA, there is a general configuration option. Under the general configuration option, under general and general configuration, there is a data sharing profile entry. And in this window, you have different kinds of consents and text that explains what you're consenting to. And from the May release, this is not now available, but I still mentioning it because I want it in your heads. And I'm talking to anyone that's here, Rapido or ALMA. So, and I know we have people here that are not yet in Rapido. So anyone that has ALMA, this is relevant for you guys, and I want you to start thinking about it and also to prepare yourself towards the May release and give your consent. So the consent here that you will be giving if you want to is the consent to make holdings information from your institutions searchable and visible to others. How, when, this is something else. Now, I do want to say that we're talking about not any type of personal data. It's just, and not that someone can start doing with you resource sharing or something like that. It's just that if we develop the capabilities, and in Rapido, we're working in that as a broker, to see what others have, something very similar like Vulture, that you have given the consent so that we can see this. Now, everyone is doing this already. So, or either people are going to Vulture and checking, or they're going to their discovery systems on others and checking. So it's not secret information. Of course, we really want to make this orderly. So you would need to give your consent if we were going to show this via the system. So it's a little note. I'll keep nagging you about this until it's out there. Once it's out there, I'll nag you to think about consenting to this. So keep it in your minds, talk to your friends about it. Once May is there, we'll remind you again, of course. Okay, I'm going to continue with the April release, and after the April release, I think I want to make another stop during the April release, but if we want to go back to this topic, we can go back. But for now, just for the to keep time control, I'm going to continue. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the staff efficiencies that we did for this with this release. One of the developments that we did here that includes a configuration aspect. First of all, I want to say for whom this development is not intended, so that you know that you can hear, but it's not intended for you guys. This is not intended for institutions that have one resource sharing library. And this is not intended to for institutions where patrons have are assigned to a specific resource sharing library. So there's one resource sharing library that's taking care of their specific resources. This development is intended for sites where all of the resource sharing libraries are serving all of the patrons. The patrons don't have a specific resource sharing library. They're assigned to multiple or to all. And what does this, what is the development? So I'll tell you the story behind the development, and then I'll tell you how you set this up. So let's say we have an institution that has multiple resource sharing libraries, and patrons can have multiple pickup locations, and patrons are served by all of the resource sharing libraries. And let's say a patron picks up a particular pickup location, and nothing is defined at the level of the patron. The system, how it works today, is it randomly picks up a resource sharing library to serve the member. This will be the resource sharing library taking care of the borrowing request, and probably the resource will be shipped to this resource sharing library. From this resource sharing library, it needs to go to the pickup location selected by the patron. Sometimes they're the same, but not always. So we have a case here of this random selection, where let's say the system picks up a resource sharing library that's pretty far away from the pickup location. And this is exactly what we want to solve. We want to make sure that we have a way to explicitly associate a pickup location with a particular resource sharing member. Why? Because they are closer. So if a patron selects a particular pickup location, we want the resource sharing member that will be treating the borrowing request and actually receiving the item to be a specific one. It's actually an administrative unit, so it makes sense that we want to keep them tight and close together. The system will continue to work as today if you don't do this. If you don't set this up, so you don't need to set this up. And again, I mentioned, I do want you to know so that you don't rush and set this up. It's only intended for those that have this very specific scenario. So we've added under the configuration of resource sharing, we've added a new option, associate pickup location with resource sharing member. And this is how it looks when you open it up. It's a very simple table. We try to keep it as simple as possible. By the way, we were also advised by some members of the community. You have a pickup location list. This reflects your pickup locations, and you can select a pickup location. And from here, if I would open this up, I would see my resource sharing members, and I could associate them. So then the system will know that when a particular pickup location is selected, this is the resource sharing member that should be taking care of the borrowing request. Okay, moving on. So we know that many institutions really like the quick printing option, and it wasn't working for all of our Rapido options. So we've corrected this from the April release, and you have this for the sheet, for the receive and return actions according to where they fit, okay? So sheet from, I think it's from both, but no, from the lending side, etc. Now you have the printing, the quick printing. So this is now available. Okay, this is a big section that I want to cover today. It's a section that deals with testing Rapido, testing resource sharing, which is very complicated, as you might know. I don't have to tell you why, because usually you need two institutions to test. How can you test? There's some things you cannot do for resource sharing, etc. And this goes in parallel to the possibilities for training the system. So you have new staff and you want to train them on the resource sharing system on Rapido. How can you do this? And this section will cover all of the options. So in the past, we presented the Rapido Sandbox testing, and a few releases ago, I don't remember exactly when, we added the ability to test functionality, Rapido functionality on the sandbox. And with the April release, we bring you the complete set of tools for testing and training. So today, what I want to do is actually review together with you the whole set of tools that you have for testing or training. So we'll cover also the sandbox, just as a reminder, or for those who were not part of previous sessions regarding this. So all of this, by the way, is on the documentation, so no need to take screen captures or stuff like that. This is what you can do and what you cannot do on the Rapido sandbox. So anything that is related to, very basic functionality that's on your, either on the back office, it's not a complete workflow, it's just testing, create. For example, there's some, everything is here. I will just mention some examples: creating sets, using facets, printing, multi-selecting. So everything that has to do with what you're seeing on your screens, all of that. Creating peer-to-peer partners and testing between sandbox. So peer-to-peer functionality between sandbox, that's possible. Checking your locally managed pods, checking discovery, all of this is possible. Lastly, you can place borrowing requests and they will be created but never sent. Okay, so you can go to the discovery, create a request, but this request will not be sent. What you cannot do is a complete flow, as I mentioned before. The requests are stopped. And also this includes not being able to check the field locally action. So even the field locally action, which is checking with yourself, the borrowing request, it's not checking with yourself, it's creating requests that are dealt by your own institution. Again, the borrowing, everything stops at the borrowing request level. Okay, so of course we're missing a lot. We have a lot, but we're missing a lot. And this is what the April release is bringing to you. So let's now cover what April is bringing in this area. Okay, so the first thing is testing or training. Okay, I'm using both words here. These flows can be used for both. A complete workflow. So you want to really see how the borrowing request is created, but you also want to see how lending stuff looks like, etc. So this new option, it's a little bit complicated. I'll explain how to use it. Will enable you to do a complete test with yourself. So this does not involve having to set up a conversation with another partner, like a peer-to-peer. Like I mentioned before, this is you, your teams working and seeing how things look. So in order to enable this, we've created a mediation rule. Again, this is a mediation rule that is only for it's only for this testing. So it's something I won't expect you to have on your productions forever. And I'll show you how to set it up. So I gave it a name and I added a parameter, and this is our new parameter. The parameter is requester, and note it only works with equal. I think that if you pull down the operators that you have here, you might have more, but this works only with equal. So no list, no many. And you select by opening here, you can select a when you add the value, you can select a user that will be performing the test. So what we're doing here is actually we're saying, in this case, my user, Xlibris staff, wants to do a test. So it's going to work. This is only going to work with them. And again, we're doing this on production. So we're working on production. I'm adding the mediation rule on production. And I'm saying my Xlibris staff, this is my user. We want to make a test. And I've used the labels option that you have in the mediation rule, and I'm adding a particular label. So it's showing you that, of course, we can use labels, and this is going to be very useful. And also, we're making use of the action, relatively new option for mediation rules, the action pull down, and the action to select for testing is test locally. So now we have two, I just want to make sure that you have this clear in your minds. We have two actions. We have the field locally, that it's for enabling document delivery with materials that you own. This is the field locally. The library wants to field locally. And we have test locally. For the test, you need to select test locally, not field locally, test locally. Okay. So I've set up my rule, and now my user, okay? So I of course need to sign into the system with the user that I'm testing, and my user has checked, wants to look for art, doesn't find it on the library, that does the expand, goes beyond the library, standard Rapido functionality, and here I go, I find the book that I want. And I find the book that I want, and you can see here, of course, I'm getting my Rapido offer, so I can see there's someone in one of my pods that has the book. These are the terms for this book, so I have complete information. I also can see that there's no one in Rapid that can provide the digital chapter, but still, of course, I can place the request. So I place the request, and now I want to show you how it looks. Okay, so I just place, I'm here again, I'm in production. I want to show you how it looks. So let me just move to Rapido, the backend that we're going to log in, sorry. And here we are. We're going to access in a second the Rapido request. And I created, and of course, this is also something you can do. I've created a specific set for those that I'm testing, my Rapido testing requests. And when I click here, I'll get the request. And this is the one that I showed you before. It has the label that I added in the mediation rule. And what you can see here is that the request was sent to the partner. And who is the partner? My own institution, okay? So this has been sent to my own institution. It hasn't gone through the actual institution, lending institution that Rapido found that has it. What can I do here now? I can do everything, you know, I can reject, I can receive, I can, all of the actions that I have here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the lending side. And by using this mediation only for this request and only for this user, let me see, I did this yesterday, so we have to, maybe I'll get it here just by active ones. No, but let's take a look at the ones I did yesterday. Okay, here's the book. Okay, and here it is. Now, first thing that I want to say is that, of course, you're all probably looking at this section of, of my screen, the locate fail. And of course, the locate fail, because this is a book, a resource that I don't have in my institution, but still the lending has been created with the status locate fail. If for any reason you are not hiding resources that you have in your institution, if you place a request for something that's on your institution, the lending request will find that resource. But of course, again, we're doing all of this in production. So those of you that are hiding for resources that you hold or are available at your institution, you don't want to hide that. You don't want to change the way your system has been configured via DLRs. So you just can place it and know that the locate fail is here. Still, what you can do is test all of the different options here. Do a general message, do a conditional, etc., etc. And you will ask me, of course, what will happen if I try to ship digitally? You don't have the item. So what I would say is you can simply test by adding another barcode, you know, or a test barcode or something. You can test, ship it, receive it from the, just change, attach it to a different resource. And then you can do receival and all of the workflow. So of course, this is testing. So there is a little bit here of, there is only the caveat of if you're not testing with something you hold in the library, you will get this locate fail, but you can overcome it still and do most of what you want to do by checking the whole workflows from both sides. Okay. And we're still missing something else, another tool. This will close up. Let me just go back to my presentation. Okay. We're still missing something else that we've heard many customers needed, and it's the fact that you might want to test with a Rapido member. So you're starting to work on Rapido, you know you're going to join, let's say, for example, the Australian pod, but you want to test first, you want to make a test and make sure that things are working as they should. And this is what we've added in this release as well to complete the whole set. So the ability to manually assign a partner. So here I'm creating a request. It's a test request. So I will create it from the backend, from the Rapido interface. I'm creating a new request, and I have this send directly to partner button, and the partner list will open up. What you can see here is that you can now attach a particular partner, and this request will be sent to this specific partner without going to the whole pod process of Rapido. And there is a change here also, because in the past we didn't present you on the resource sharing partner list. We didn't present you with Rapido partners, and from this release, actually we are, which is, I think it's great. And now you actually have 3 different sets. Before I go on to the next section, now you have 3 different sets of testing. You have what you have on your sandbox. You have a complete workflow with yourselves, which is using the mediation rule. and the ability to manually assign a partner. Okay, this is a good point to stop. So I'm going to stop sharing and see if there are any questions. And I can unmute you if needed. Okay, okay, Paul, I'll unmute you. This is the first message I see. Paul, you're unmuted.
Hi, Judith, and hi, everybody. Thank you for the release. I just want to, because you asked the question earlier that how is everything going for us? This is Paul from Macquarie. Everything's going well, but we just realized recently that regarding to, obviously, Australian pod has a 28-day pod and a 112-day pod. And in the beginning, my memory tells me that most of us only was intended to use 112-day pod. And then only for, this is when we were in development partner, and 28-day pod was under the insistence of one particular library, and they said they really want to have a flexibility of a 28-day pod. Now, and then I think later on, community start to, some university put majority of the participating item into the 28-day pod. Some library put a majority of their item into the 112-day pod. I think that's why then we start to realize 28 days seems to be quite 28 days seems to be quite short, and given there was I think in the beginning the very reason why 28 days was not renewable was because nobody was actually going to participate in the 28-day pod, because everybody was sort of for the 112 days. But then and later on there are newcomers who are not the development partners, didn't know, and whether there's so I'm just curious, because if it's 28-day pods and everybody start to put books into 28-day pods, which is imitating that, then there's a necessity to enable the renewal functionality. I think, I mean, but it's up to the community. But I think in the beginning, the intention is everybody goes through the participate the ones that you are willing to participate for 112 days, and exclude the items that you do not exclude the item you do not want to participate in 112 days. Only so 28 days was really a backup rather than the main pot for use. But I think later on when we have more community members, they were not aware or whatever, so people started to pick 28 days to imitate that, not knowing that 28 days was not for renewal. And at the time, I think the renewal was not, exhibitors didn't want to make a renewal because they want to be very straightforward, no renewal, but agree on the time. And now, given the problem of the 28 days, so it's rather short. And also, Robin also mentioned from Notre Dame, we just heard, it's really, at the beginning was very much East Coast. And now we have Notre Dame from West Coast. In the beginning, also with CSIRO, they deliver all the books through a courier, which is different from Australian Post. So the dynamic of the community somehow
has changed
in a way. So therefore, the reviewing of the 28 days, if everybody is contributing only to 28-day pod, then obviously it necessitates the need for a renewal. If we agree, as when we were first begin this, when syllabus insist on 112 days with no renewal, then but I yeah, so that's just
it's an excellent point. Listen, this is an excellent point, and it makes me think about some ideas, and maybe and we can rethink this again. Maybe even having a dedicated meeting with the Australian community for this. First, we can create, beyond the Australian pod, we can create a Western and Eastern pod for Australia, and then you can set it in your priorities. For example, if you're in the Western part, you can set that pod as your first priority, and then the Australian pod as the second priority, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this is regarding delivery times, and Fiona, I saw you want to speak, so I'll shortly let you speak. This is one thing that we can do regarding delivery times. Regarding the loan period, I tend very much to agree with you. And I think that, you know, I can share with you what I've been talking with the North American community, which is very interesting. For example, the Cal State University that also works very close to us. Even with their own users, they are, they went to this 100 and I think it's 20, I don't remember, or 20 or 112, one of the two. And they went with that with all of their materials. And again, and when I asked them about the renewal, they said no, because we don't do, it's enough time. They don't need to, you know, they can, if they want, they can ask it again at some point. So I understand totally your point, and I wonder, because the USA pod now has only a long period. They don't have a short period, and only one customer asked for a short period. So it's an interesting conversation. I think that, and Robin, we started with you, but maybe let's get in touch and maybe try to set up a meeting that's not a webinar in the sense that I can see your faces and don't need to unmute you in this way. And
that would be great.
Yeah, I think it deserves this type of discussion, and I think we can facilitate, and maybe we need to create 2 new pods for now. And I think that would be the best way. So I will get in touch with you guys after this webinar to try to set up something, to schedule some type of meeting with the Australian community. And I hope I will make sure that all of the Australians that are going through the implementation will also be included in that discussion. And I think, Fiona, you wanted to say something, so let me look for you here and unmute you. Okay, Fiona, you're unmuted.
Fiona from Macquarie. It's not trying to be a Macquarie webinar. Just following on from what Robin was saying. So if we changed it to, 7 days or 10 days or whatever, or even, I suppose the problem we've got at the moment is we do have this potential delivery or time frame issue, but it might get better in the future, but then it might get bad again or something. So it's almost like, if there's are we able to say, is it hard coded in the system that the delivery is 5 days, or is it just an information for the client? So could you, for example, say delivery will be, 5 to 10 days or something like that? Just, is it just how do we have flexibility in the future? I mean, obviously we need the community to agree, but does Ex Libris have to change something in the system if we change our delivery times? So we have to get it right now, right as we can.
Excellent question, Fiona. So today, that nice number that you get now, 5 days, the number itself is coming from Ex Libris, okay? So this is what you get, and this also is kind of the agreement that you're setting up with the community. But if you want to be, since this, this is not, I don't know how to say it, science, in the sense that, of course, everything's going to arrive in 5 days. It's just an indication of the great majority of the cases. If this is really out, nothing is getting in 5 days, we definitely need to change the number from the clinical trial. But what I've heard that others are doing, since you have the capabilities to change the text in the tiles, it's that they're adding a little, they're changing a little bit the way the text is posted with the number that's presented, like in an average of, approximate 5 days. So, kind of changing a little bit the language so it's more suitable. So there are two things here. One is really if we change the number because this is like totally out, we need to do it together with you. And the second is you can play a little bit with the text and make it more, give a more exact.
So we could change, you know, if we agreed, we'd change it to 10 days or whatever, and we could say normally arrives in 10 days, for example.
Exactly. You can play with the whatever's around the number.
We were thinking of using estimated as our word.
Yeah.
Estimated sounds, yeah. You know, the get it in this is very, you know, really, really a little bit problematic.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So I'm going to go, we're missing, actually, what we're missing, I think it's less relevant for this area of the world that might be attending. So we'll run through it and we'll see if we have more time for questions. Let me just share again. No, I do think it's relevant, actually, for you guys. Might be relevant. Part of it not, but part of it, yes. Okay, so analytics definitely relevant. Okay. So again, we use analytics to create reports, etc. But we also use analytics to measure the success of the service that you are providing. You are measuring your success that you're providing to your patrons, to your customers. So one of the measures that you would like to measure, and of course it's also measuring the product, but one of the things that you want to measure is the fulfillment of borrowing request. And we've added this new field that of course can be combined with any other field like dates, etc. It's called isField, and the idea behind it is to check whether your borrowing requests have been filled or not. And there is a little bit of logic behind it. Everything's explained on the release notes or in the documentation itself. So I'll just shortly say that those that are marked in progress are those that are still being worked. So you cannot say nothing about them really about being fulfilled or not fulfilled because they're still active. Let's go to the no. Okay, the no means that the request has no arrival date, or it was canceled by the staff or rejected by the lender. So actually, this really was something that never was completed. So you can measure here which borrowing requests were not fulfilled. Not applicable are those requests that you don't really want to bring into the equation, let's say it. For example, the patron is not interested anymore. So you don't want to count them as not fulfilled because really the patron suddenly, I don't know, decided to buy the book and just cancel the request. This is an example. So the whole different logics here of which statuses are taken into account is in the documentation, but the idea is that things, for example, things that were canceled by the patron, you don't want to count in that success or not success equation. And lastly, and happily, even though this is really a demo, most of your requests, you want to see the bigger number here. Most of the requests are filled, yes, and this is what you have here. So this is a new analytics field to take a look, so make use of it. I think it's going to be interesting for you. And regarding the Rapido ecosystem, I want to talk about, I think the WorldShare part is the one that might interest you. Those that are still working with WorldShare, those that maybe are here and have Tipasa also, kind of a last resort option for those that are keeping those systems or still subscribing to them. You can now push as a last request a borrowing request into that system. So if not found by any of your partners, your locally managed rotas, your pods, you could have set up the system and have the borrowing request pushed to WorldShare. Tipasa fortunately does support NCIP, the NCIP standard. There is some type of updates going back and from Tipasa to Rapido. WorldShare does not support any standard of this type, so you will need to follow up on Vultr. But at least from the patron perspective, they place the request in one place, and the borrowing request will flow if you want to, if you are working in this way, will flow into one of these systems if you're interested. This is where we are. We would love to have more integration. So I'm just saying this because I know there might be people here that work with OCLC Vultr. And it's a matter, again, of the community pushing Vultr. We, for example, would like to see a lending request coming into Rapido, but not up to us. It's up to them. Once they open this up, we want to develop these capabilities. Okay. And the next one is something that now you can use. This was specifically for an Iliad example, but I think you can use it in other examples. And for communication, I'm giving here the Iliad example. What I had is that if you had users in Iliad with an identifier, you need to say which is the identifier in ALMA that will be used against the identifier in the other system. But sometimes it was only a portion of the identifier in ALMA that needed to match with the identifier in Iliad. So we have added the possibility to add a regular expression. In this example, it's an email. So what you have in ALMA is you're using your, let's say behind the additional ID 02, there's an email. And actually in Iliad, what they're keeping in this particular scenario is the first part of the email. So up to the strudel. So now you can use any type of regex to, I don't know if many of you are using this, so I won't go into this, but I do want you to know that this is something that you can do in the partner, at the partner level on the parameters tab. Okay, I'm going to really rush through this because many of you have already seen it. It's a little reminder. It's something that one of our implementation sites asked. So we've seen this already, so we're going to rush it. How to view requests that are being worked by a particular staff. Our workflow today is to assign them to the particular staff. They can assign them to themselves. So using this action, I assigned it to Benjamin. And now on the task list, you have a very clear indication that this is being worked by Benjamin. And of course, you can facet by this information, create sets, and work accordingly. So I'm going to stop sharing. So we have, I don't know how much time, but 1 minute for last questions. Okay, so 1 minute for last questions. I would say that I would need a little bit of help just to organize that meeting that I want to do with the Australian community. So I'll ask maybe from the people who have spoken today to organize it together with me, and we will set a different forum for that. And any other question? I think we're on top exactly at the hour. So I want to thank you all for actively participating, for listening, just coming and listening. And I hope to see you in other forums and definitely next month on our next meeting. Bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.